Shalom, shalom, everyone.
Shalom.
I am Rabbi James Byers.
And I'm Rabbi Savia.
And we're coming to you live from Ghana, Africa.
Yes.
And this evening, we are a little bit late behind technical difficulty. So we just ask your patience. So this may be, something that we have to deal with. Right. But that's all right. That is quite all right. We know that it's going to be okay. So with this evening, we are in Jeremiah chapter 2. So we've started a new book, and Revelation chapter 17.
Right, for the half-Torah.
For the half, Jeremiah is the half-Torah, and the Brit is Revelation 17. And so both chapters are going to be going into judgment dealing with first the house of Israel, followed by the nations along with the house of Israel. According to Matthew chapter 25, the foolish will then have to go through this because they didn't quite get the lesson that was given the first time around. Now, if you're not really understanding what I'm talking about, when the scripture talks about judgment for the nations, that is exactly what it's talking about. And we learned this back in the book of Isaiah. A couple of chapters we went through, chapter 24 and 34, both talks about judgment for the nations. And so to be a little more specific, tonight will be chapter 17, which is following chapter 16. Chapter 16 goes into the judgment of the nations, followed by the judgment of the great whore. And so not so much in that order, but yes, and I hope that that's not confusing, but how it actually happens is the 7 bowls that chapter 16 talks about are being poured out on the earth. And then at a certain point towards the end of the 6th bowl, then the great whore is remembered by Yahweh, and she then gets judgment sustained on her. And as we go through that, hopefully it'll open up a little bit more. Yeah. But we will start with Jeremiah chapter 16 and begin our Jeremiah chapter 2. I'm sorry.
Jeremiah 2.
And so we would love to say thank you to everyone for joining us on another edition of Let's Talk Torah. All right. Shalom, shalom to everyone.
Shalom.
And thank you once again for being with us. Jeremiah chapter 2. If you will open up, read along with us. Verse 1. Jeremiah chapter 2, verse 1. And the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, Go, and you shall cry in the hearing of all Yisrael, Jerusalem, saying, Thus said Yahweh, I remember you, the loving commitment of your youth, the love of your bridehood, when you went after me in the wilderness, in a land that was not sown. Yisrael was set apart to Yahweh, the first fruit of his increase. All who ate of it became guilty. Evil came upon them, declares Yahweh. Hear the word of Yahweh, O house of Yaakov, and all the clans of the house of Israel. Thus said Yahweh, what unrighteousness have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me and went after worthlessness and became worthless? And did not they say, where is Yahweh who brought us up out of the land of Mizraim, who led us through the wilderness, through the land of the deserts and pits, through a land of drought and shadow death, a land that no one passed through, and where where no one dwelt? Then I brought you into a garden land to eat its fruit and its goodness. But when you entered, you defiled my land and made my inheritance an abomination. The priest did not say, where is Yahweh? The priest did not say, where is Yahweh? And those who handled the Torah did not know me. And the shepherds transgressed against me, and the prophets prophesied by Baal, and walked after matters that did not profit. Therefore, I still contend with you, declares Yahweh, and with your children's children I contend. For pass beyond the isles of Kittim and see, and send to Qatar and observe well, and see if there has been any like this. Has a nation changed its mighty ones, which are not mighty ones? But my people have changed my esteem. For that which does not profit. Be amazed, O heavens, at this, and be frightened. Be utterly dried up, declares Yahweh. For my people have done two evils. They have forsaken me, the foundation of living waters, to hew out for themselves cisterns, cracked cisterns, which do not hold water. Is Israel a servant? Was
sermon
he
is a
born
religious
in the
discourse or
house?
oration by a preacher,
Why is
usually
this-
a member of clergy.
Why is he
Do
doing?
you want me to keep reading?
Plunder. The young lion roared at him, they growled, and made his land waste. His cities have been burned without inhabitants. Even the sons of Noth and Tahpanhes have shaved the crown of your head. Have you not done this to yourselves by forsaking Yahweh Elohim when he led you in the way? And now, why take the way to Misraim to drink the waters of Sohan? Or why take the way of Asher to drink the waters of the river? Your own evil instructs you, and your backsliding reproves you. Now, therefore, and see that it is evil and bitter that you have forsaken Yahweh your Elohim and feared, and that my fear is not, I repeat, and that my fear is not in you, declares the Master Yahweh of hosts. For of old I have broken your yoke and torn off your chastisement, and you said, I am not serving you. When on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down a whore, yet I had planted you a choice vine, all of it a true seed. How then have you turned before me into this degenerate plant of a strange vine? 22.
Although you wash yourself with lye and use much soap, yet your crookedness is ingrained before me, declares the Master Yahweh. How do you say, I am not defiled? I have not gone after the Baals. See your way in the valley. Now what you have done, a swift dromedary breaking loose in her ways, a wild donkey used to the wilderness, sniffling the wind in the desire of her being, in her time of mating. Who turns her away? All those who seek her need not weary themselves. In her month they find her. Keep your foot from being bare and your throat from thirst. But you said, it is useless because I love strangers, and after them I go. as the thief as is ashamed when he is found out, so was the house of Israel ashamed. They and their sovereigns, their heads and their priests and their prophets, saying to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. For they have turned their back to me and not their face. But in the time of their calamity, they say, arise and save us. And where are your mighty ones that you have made for yourself? Let them arise. See if they save you in the time of your calamity, because your mighty ones have become as many as your cities, O Yehuda. Why do you complain to me? You all have transgressed against me, declares Yahweh. In vain have I stricken your children. They receive no instruction. Your sword has devoured your prophets like a destroying lion. O generation, see the word of Yahweh. Have I been a wilderness to Israel, or a land of darkness? Why do my people say, we have broken loose, we come to you no more? Would a maiden forget her ornaments, or a bride her headband? Yet my people have forgotten me, days without number. Why do you embellish your way to seek love? Therefore you have even taught the evil woman your ways. Even on your skirts you found the blood of the lives of the poor innocents. You did not find them breaking in, but in spite of all these, you say, because I am innocent, certainly his displeasure shall turn from me. See, I shall bring judgment on you because you say, I have not sinned. Why do you go about so much to change your way? Even of Mitzrayim you are to be ashamed, as you were ashamed of Asher. Even from this one you shall go forth with your hands on your head, for Yahweh has rejected those you trust, and you shall not prosper by them.
Wow. This is huge in the concerns of Israel. And if you say that I am born again and I am of the house of Israel, you say I am the seed of Abraham, the blessings of Abraham, any of those things that declare yourself a part of the house of Israel, then none of us can afford to say I am innocent. Well, let me be straight in what I'm saying. I'm talking about Yahweh brings up two evils against Israel. And so Israel is being judged, and this is now the southern kingdom. The northern kingdom has already been taken off into judgment, scattered into Ashur or Asher, and then from there they will go into all the nations. And so now it is decades later. It is like between the two, it's over 130 years, about 135 years apart from the two different judgments. The northern kingdom followed by the southern kingdom 135, 136 years later. And so still, Israel has not learned their lesson. So, and we're going to get back to the very beginning, but looking at the two evils, verse 13 says, for my people have done two evils.
That's right.
They have forsaken me. So that's
right.
one. And the other, the summary of it really is verse 35. You say, because I am innocent, certainly his displeasure shall turn from me. See, I shall bring judgment on you because you say, I have not sinned. That is, Yahweh is saying, all of these evils you have done. Go back to verse 20. It says, for of old I have broken your yoke, torn off your chastisement, and you said, I am not serving you. So that's really your second sin, the second evil against Yahweh. But the summary says, because you say, I have not sinned.
Okay.
Surely his judgment will turn away from me. And so this is what the whole earth is saying now. I have not sinned, and in the time of judgment, I have no fear. Well, he spoke about that too. He says, the fear of me have left you.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm going to take it back to the beginning so that we can make sure we put everything into perspective. But the whole reason he has called for the prophets is to call Israel back to righteous standing. Mm-hmm. And he called Jeremiah. Now, we didn't get to Jeremiah chapter 1. Like I said, we're still in transition. So it's really like hit or miss. And so we're starting with chapter 2, mm-hmm. just to kind of keep up with the schedule.
Right.
But chapter 1 called Jeremiah from the womb. It says, I called you from the womb before you were brought forth. I called your name. And so let's see. In verse 5. So we're just taking a quick look at chapter 1, verse 5. It says, before I formed you in the belly, I knew you. And before you came out of the womb, I did set you apart. I appointed you a prophet to the nations.
To nations. And this one scripture, this one, and also in Isaiah, were the turning points for my understanding concerning the whole issue of abortion.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Because there was so much going on around there. Mm-hmm. And said, this is saying before you were even born, I knew you in the womb. So when he is Father Yah who opens and closes the womb. So this is so important to see that being spoken into the prophet Jeremiah and the prophet Isaiah, that they were set. There's a time, appointed time, mm-hmm. set mm-hmm. for these mouthpieces to be born, right. to speak during the time that they're supposed to. Mm-hmm. Everything has an appointed time and a season. That's what
exactly.
That's what the book of Lamentations says. Everything. Ecclesiastes. Mm-hmm. That all things have an appointed time. And we as people definitely have an appointed time.
Exactly. So as we look at Jeremiah, I wanted to make sure that we understood this is not just for the house of Israel. Okay. Notice that he is also sent to the nations.
Hallelujah.
Yes, to Israel, they were first. And if you see my discussion for this evening, mm-hmm. Jeremiah and Revelation, they're in focus together. Mm-hmm. And so the house was first. Mm-hmm. And the house twice in history was burnt down. Mm-hmm. And the last time, 70 AD, less than 2,000 years ago, 1900 plus. And now Matthew, another book of prophecy, mm-hmm. Yeshua speaking, and he's saying it would be as the days of Noah. Mm-hmm. And so there's the foolish, there's the wise. Chapter 25, chapter 24 talks about when you see these things taking place, know that time is drawing near. Mm-hmm. And so what is the time drawing near to? Judgment now for the nations. Why? Because the judgment of Israel has already passed. Mm-hmm. 70 AD, 1900 and plus years ago. We have to know that 2 days since the birth of the Mashiach has already now passed. Actually, It's been 2 days, and one of the prophets, Hosea, says, after 2 days, I shall return and revive you. We are out of time. We have no more time to try to second guess when is he coming. Now, surely most people are trying to figure it out and say, I have time, and when his judgment comes, I'm innocent, and his judgment is going to surpass me, and but he's saying to the nations, understand that if Rael, the branches, if they did not get away, then neither will the nations.
That's right. Because
he's going to judge every person according to the work of their flesh.
Absolutely.
Just like Israel was judged, Israel will be judged again, but with the nations. Anyone who's not walking in righteousness will be judged. Which brings us to chapter 2, where he says in verse 1, and the word of Yahweh came to me, saying, go, and you shall cry in the hearing of Yisrael, saying, thus said Yahweh, I remember you, the loving commitment of your youth, the love of your bridehood, when you went after me in the wilderness. Let's stop right there. When Israel came out of Mizraim, this is what he's reminding us of. Where is Israel now? They've been scattered to the four winds. And so he's speaking to Jeremiah, who's speaking to Jerusalem, and we know the conclusion of that was the city was demolished, burnt down. But now he's also speaking to the remnant of Jerusalem that have been scattered among the nations, which means he's now speaking to the nations as well as Israel, because any of Israel who does not walk according to the covenant that was made back in the wilderness when you went after me, he says. He's going to get to the other part. When you came after me in your bridehood, when they married at the foot of Mount Sinai.
And that's exactly what happened, because as in custom of a Hebrew wedding, the bride goes out, the bridegroom goes out to build, they become. The bridegroom goes out to the house. He comes and he calls for his bride. The bridegroom is out there. Your home, or the place that he has prepared for you, is ready. Then the bride does what? She comes out to
and go and meet him.
Absolutely, and that's exactly what happened. They came out of Mitzrayim. Father Yah called them. They came out of Mitzrayim and they met him at the foot of Mount Sinai.
And this is the future now.
Right.
I didn't make a mistake. This is what he's saying. Come out of her, my people. So this is different from coming out of Mizraim. They came out as a unit. Yahweh preserved them in Mizraim, Egypt, and brought them all out, and not a hoof, as Moshe said. Not one was left. Not one of the animals, the old, the young, the youth, man, woman, not one of Israel was left. And this time, Yahweh is saying, come out of her, my people, or you will take part in her judgment.
Now, and the thing that is important to understand, when we talk about judgment, the people of Elohim, who, when we are walking in righteousness according to the Torah, one of the scriptures that I quoted from when I was a child, I can't remember the where it is, but Save me, O Yah, by name. Judge me by thy strength.
Mhm.
So those that who are walking in accordance to the Torah, receive the judge. Father, judge me righteously.
Mhm.
I mean, because if we know that we are walking the best that we can according to the Torah, that's exactly what he's going to find. That's
Exactly.
going to be your judgment, is going to be blessings. Your payment is going to be, I guess I should say, payment is going to be blessings. So everybody gets paid.
Exactly.
So we don't ever want to say, "Ooh, I don't want to be judged. I don't want to be." Yes, you are going to be judged.
Mhm.
But when you are walking in the confines of the teachings and instructions of the Most High, then your what you receive are the blessings. If you're not walking in obedience, then what you receive are the curses.
Exactly. So, verse 3 says, Israel was set apart to Yahweh, the first fruit of his increase. All who ate of it became guilty, evil came upon them, declares Yahweh. And so, right there is Yahweh is saying, in your maidenhood, those who came out against you paid a heavy price because they were my first fruit. And as my first fruit, all who ate of it became guilty because they belonged to Yahweh. Evil came upon them. Verse 4, hear the words of Yahweh, O house of Yaakov, and all the clans of the house of Yisrael. Now he's broadening. Verse 5, thus said Yahweh, what unrighteousness have your fathers found in me, that they have gone far from me and went after worthlessness and became worthless. Now, in your maidenhood, you came out after me,
Right.
Followed me.
Right. But
what was my
happened?
sin?
Right, that you would
turn against me. What is my unrighteousness?
Right.
That you would turn, Israel. You turned against me. Your forefathers have turned against me and went far from me.
And into worthlessness.
Right.
Worthless things. It's like, and those worthless things, you are what people say, you are what you eat. You are what you take in. You are, you've become worthless by the worthless things that you have been taking part in.
Let's give a good example of worthlessness, the things you have gone after. Chapter 10, Jeremiah chapter 10, and let's begin at verse 1. Hear the words which Yahweh speaks to you, O house of Israel. Thus said Yahweh, do not learn the way of the nations, and do not be awed by the signs of heaven or heavens, for the nations are awed by them.
Yes.
For the laws of these people are worthless. For one cuts a tree from the forest, work for the hands of a craftsman with a cutting tool. They beautify it with silver and gold. They strengthen it with nails and hammer so that it does not topple. They are like rounded posts, and they do not speak. They have to be carried on the roof of your cars, on the trucks, being delivered to all of the cities.
Yeah.
Because they do not walk. Do not be afraid of them, for they do no evil, nor is it in them to do any good. They're worthless.
Worthless.
But the nations are captivated by the signs of heavens. The signs of heavens are the changes of the seasons.
Right. Those are winter solstice.
So that is the winter solstice,
summer solstice.
When you have the December 25th,
spring solstice,
when you are celebrating what they call Christmas, just put a new package on it, new name, a new twist, and said it is Christ's Mass,
Right.
which is celebrated as the birth, and most people know that it is not his birth.
Right.
Tell me why the wise men would be in the field in the cold.
Yeah, the
During
shepherds.
the shepherds.
Right.
During the winter season.
Yeah.
They spent the night in the field. You don't do that in the winter. You do it in the spring. You do it in the summer.
Summer and fall, right. But
So not winter. It's a little bit too cold.
It's too cold.
So, but again, don't be awed by the signs of heaven. Signs of heaven. How do we know that it's talking about this? Genesis chapter 1, verse 14. He created the sun, moon, the stars for signs and seasons.
That's right.
And so this is what they were created for, not for us to become enamored and in awe of the signs. So
worshiping them.
This is wrong. And so these are the worthless things. It happens during the winter. It will happen again during Easter. And Yahweh says no. And I can show you scriptures for both of them. But this is the far away from me details that he's given, saying, why did your fathers go far away from me for worthless matters?
Worthless matters.
Verse 7 says, then I brought you into a garden land, even though we were kicked out of the garden.
Right.
He brought Israel into a place that was prepared for them. And as the garden, it says, to eat its fruit and its goodness. But when you entered, you defiled my land and made my inheritance an abomination. So this is opening the conversation of Israel has done two evils.
Right.
And he calls it an abomination.
That's right.
One evil, you have forsaken me.
That's right.
The other evil is you have turned to other gods. Now, this is the whole conversation that he's talking about. So it's really I don't have to go through everything. We read the whole chapter.
Right.
And the whole subject matter is about Israel. First, being a bride, my bride, and coming after me. And then at some point, your forefathers have forsaken me and gone after other gods. And now you have inherited lies. And he says two evils.
Two evils.
That
You've done. And you know, that second evil, when it talks about you've hewn out broken
cisterns.
Ones you chose. You accept, not me, the living waters, you know, but you've chosen these broken cisterns that you
can't hold water.
Can't hold water.
Worthless.
Exactly. There you go, back to worthless. Yeah.
All right. So let's see. See if we have a good place to kind of wrap this up, because we have to get into Revelation. Revelation is going to take us further into the nations. Now, understand, this is prophecy concerning the nations as well. Verse 21 says, let me go to 20. For of old, so this kind of bringing us back to the beginning of this chapter, I have broken your yoke and tore off your chastisements. And you said, I am not serving you, God. I'm not serving you. How do you say that? I think I just remember this. I think this is First John chapter 14. It says, and it speaks, Yeshua is speaking, and he says, keep my commandment. As you keep my commandments, I will testify of you to my Father. And as you keep my commandments, this is how I know that you love me.
Yeah, John. Mm-hmm.
And as you keep my commands, I know that you love me, but this is how I know that you love me. And in turn, you love my Father, because this is how you show that you love him, which is keeping his commandments. I think that's First John or John chapter 14. John chapter 14. All right, so verse 20 says, I am not serving you when on every high hill and under every green tree you lay down a whore. Yet I have planted you a choice vine. So you have gone far from what I chose you to be. I chose you, Israel. So he's talking about Israel here. Yet I have planted you a choice vine, all of a true seed. How then have you turned before me into this degenerate plant of a strange vine? The strange vine is another god. Degenerate, yes. Degenerate is something that's going backwards. It's dying. It's dying.
Right.
And so he says, a strange vine. What is the strange vine? Other gods.
Absolutely.
So he's saying Israel has gone after other gods. So he's talking about the two evils. And if you don't think this is monumentous in Yahweh's eyes, this is high up on the list of priorities.
Right.
Israel has gone after another husband, other gods.
Other mighty ones. That's right. Father Yah calls them worthless. And he even goes on to talk about them being stone and then being wood. And how they don't eat, they don't walk, they don't talk. What do you have to do? Like in Jeremiah, you have to carry it.
Exactly.
So you take a piece of wood and you make it into something. You sit it up and you say, "This is my God." Wow. But you made it and sat it up there.
Exactly. Verse 27, that's what you're talking about. Verse 27, say to a tree, you are my father, and to a stone, you gave birth to me. For they have turned their backs to me and not their face. But in time of their calamity, they say, arise and save us. Then they want God, and tell me if this is the case. Every time there's a major catastrophe, the politicians get on TV, they call for the rallies and all the different groups. Come, let us come together. Let us pray to God that he will, hear us and heal our land.
Help us.
Yes, help us in this moment. But what is he saying? He's saying, verse 28, but where are your mighty ones that you have made for yourselves?
Right.
Let them arise.
There you go.
See if they save you in the time of your calamity.
Right.
Because your mighty ones have become as many as your cities, O Yehuda. So just like the northern kingdom, he's speaking to the southern kingdom now, and Yehuda, they're getting ready to be scattered among the nations as well. Now he's speaking even beyond that period of time, because that period of time has come and gone, but now it's to the nations as well as Israel. You choose to hear and obey, or you choose to not hear and disobey.
And Jeremiah, we have to remember what was going on during that time. Israel was extremely rebellious. I mean, they had other gods sitting up in the temple.
Yes.
One,
Yes.
I remember Dagon sitting up in the temple. And Jeremiah had to bring these things to the forefront to them and say, you say you're serving the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, but you got gods sitting up in the temple where you said you were worshiping the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're not righteous. But they say, we are righteous. Throw him in prison. We are righteous. Get him out of here. We are right. He has nothing good to say to us. We don't want to hear anything from you anymore if you're lying. You never have anything good to say to us. Because Jeremiah was called as a prophet to a rebellious, stubborn, and backslidden people. And that's what Israel is looking like right now. Same thing. And it's a time of Jeremiah when the house of Israel, the house of Yehuda, is taken into
scattered amongst the
Babylonian
nations.
captivity.
Babylon, and after Babylon, some of them did not make it back, but they too are scattered among the nations. Let's go ahead and jump into Revelation chapter 17. This is so prevalent, so important today that we understand what is going on. And chapter 14, he talks about Babylon falling. And I'm going to read that. Revelation 14, chapter 14, verse 8. And another messenger followed, saying, Babylon is falling, it's fallen, that great city, because she has made all nations drink of the wine of the wrath of her whoring. Let's go on to 17 so we see how they connect. 17. Yes, we have 18 verses. So let's go ahead and read through that. Verse 1, Revelation chapter, verse 1, and 18, so I guess pick up at 9 or 10. Pick up at 10. And one of the seven messengers who had the seven bowls came and spoke with me, saying to me, Come, and I show you the judgment of the great whore sitting on many waters, with whom the sovereign of the earth committed whoring. Well, that's the sovereigns. So these are the keys. It's important. Right. And inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of their whoring. So this is the inhabitants, mankind of the earth, as well as the animal kingdom, everything. Verse 3. And he carried me away spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast, covered with name of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. And the woman was dressed in purple and scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup filled with abominations and filthiness of her whoring, and upon her head and upon her forehead a name written, a secret, Babylon the Great, the mother of the whores and of the abominations of the earth. Abominations, plural. And I saw the woman drunk with the blood of the set apart ones. So the set apart ones, that's Israel, fallen to her whoring. And with the blood of the witnesses of Yeshua, and having seen her, I marveled, greatly marveled. And the messenger said to me, why did you marvel? Let me explain to you the secret of the woman and of the beast. She rides, which has the 7 heads and the 10 horns. The beast that you saw was and is not, and is about to come out of the pit of the deep and to destruction. And those dwelling on the earth, mankind, whose names are not written in the book of life from the foundation of the world, shall marvel when they see the beast that was and is not, and yet is. Here is the mind having wisdom. The 7 heads are 7 mountains on which the woman sits. And there are 7 sovereigns, 5 have fallen, and 1 is, and the other has not yet come. And when he comes, he has to remain a little while.
And the beast that was and is not is himself also the 8th, and is of the 7th, and goes to destruction. And the 10 horns which you saw are 10 sovereigns, who have not yet received a reign, but receive authority as sovereigns with the beast for 1 hour. They have 1 mind, and they shall give their power and authority to the beast. They shall fight with the Lamb, and the Lamb shall overcome them. For he is master of masters and sovereign of sovereigns, and those with him are called the chosen and trustworthy. And he said to me, the waters you saw where the whore sits are peoples and crowds and nations and tongues. That's the yum. Hallelujah. People, groupings and groups of people, the nations, the sea, and the 10 horns which you saw on the beast. These shall hate the whore and lay her waste and naked, and eat her flesh and burn her with fire. For Elohim did give it into their hearts to do his mind, to be of 1 mind, and to give their reign to the beast until the words of Elohim shall be accomplished. And the woman whom you saw is that great city, having sovereignty over the sovereigns of the earth.
Wow. So I'm just go back to the beginning. So as we comb through, we're going to let scripture because he tells us what is happening, what is going on. So let's get back to the beginning. The 7th messenger. Now, why is it breaking into the 7th messenger? Because chapter 16, once again, you have 7 messengers with 7 trumpets. These 7 trumpets, which goes back to chapter 6, are the 7 warnings to the nations, to Israel, to the sons of man, or to the nations. And these 7 trumpets are blasting. When you hear the first one, and then the second one, and the third, the fourth to the 7th, and now these warnings are going out. So when you get to chapter 16, they're magnified. Now he's speaking of the messengers who are sounding the 7 messengers. Keep up with these numbers, because there's another piece I want to bring to you when I get to back to 17. These 7 messengers then began to pour out 7 bowls.
Mm-hmm.
You had the 7 warnings.
Mm-hmm.
Now these bowls are much more intense upon the earth. This is your earthquake, your disease, your famine, drunk sorceries. All of these things are going on simultaneously. People are dying from things like cancer, COVID, flu,
diverse illnesses. I mean, just yes.
As well, even the animal kingdom, there's huge, by the millions of die-offs. I went through those for some time, so let me just make mention, but you can look it up. Animal die-offs. Here's 2 things I want you to look up. Extreme weather, animal die-off. Those are 2 different things. Extreme weather, we're having extreme weather. That's exactly what it is. Earthquakes, snow in places that are diverse, that they didn't always happen.
They don't have snow.
The season changing. Waters are seeming to, come up on the lands of the islands and the different places, and people are shouting, global warming is bringing the ice caps and melting and is making the waters rise. What are you going to do to stop Yahweh's judgment? There is nothing you can do to stop his judgment.
Right.
Outside of walking in obedience.
Right. And I remember Enoch says, "Oh, rich man, where are you going to fly to?"
Yes.
Now, Enoch didn't say run to. He said, "Where are you going
to
fly
his years
to?" Because Enoch saw that revelation of the evilness of man and man making aircraft. I believe Isaiah also prophesied about vessels that float in the air, real things like that. So, but Enoch specifically says, "Oh, rich man, where are you going to fly to?" So now we see all of these movies and captions and things people talk about. Oh, let's go, but let's go to we're trying to find a way to go to Mars. We're trying to make a colony on trying to figure out how to pump air over, on the moon so they can go and try to what? Escape the judgment that is coming. But there's no escape.
No escape. So I'm going to have to read this verse out of Revelation 16, verse. Let me start at verse 12.
Okay.
And the 6th messenger poured out, because we're coming into 17 with the 7th messenger.
Right.
And the 6th messenger poured out, his water was dried up. Oh, excuse me, I mixed up a couple.
Yeah.
Out his bowl on the great river Euphrates, and it was dried up in order to prepare the way of the sovereigns from the east. And I saw coming out of the mouth of the dragon, and out of the mouth of the beast, and out of the mouth of the false prophets, 3 unclean spirits as frogs. For they are spirits of demons doing signs which go out to the sovereigns of the entire world to gather them to the battle of the great day of Yahweh the Almighty. Let me explain that really quick before I go on. I got to get down to 16 so you can see. But when he says, I'm sending out these 3 spirits two things I want to mention.
Mhm.
First, that takes us back to the 10 plagues of the time of coming out of Mizraim.
Mhm.
He put on Pharaoh and the nations at that time to bring Israel out. So 10 plagues, keep that in mind.
Mhm.
And in those 10 plagues, we have the plague of the frogs. So here, it's meant to be as a conduit to say, okay, remember when I judged Pharaoh? So he's also judging the nations. Babylon, Egypt, same tree. So these spirits now go government heads and they come together. Remember, we read where it says 10 sovereigns will come together to do his mind, and in his mind they will judge the great whore. Not that they're judging the whore for her unrighteousness, but because she has led them in sin. It says they are now turning against her, and then her.
Mhm.
So they actually go after her, the great whore. And who is the great whore? Sitting on 7 hills. And so she will be then destroyed by these nations or the sons of men, who will then say, she has led us into a lot of sin, and now we too must be judged. So let me continue on with that. So I wanted to plug that in so you can see the river Euphrates, that is currently taking place now. It's drying up. Have you ever seen a river dry up? It takes some time. What is happening? All right. There's a reason for that, because the demons are supposed to come up from the ground there, who were kept since the time of Noah. They were put in during that time, and it says, and they were, Satan was given keys to the pit. He opens it up and brings the demons out. That's what I'm talking about, Revelation chapter 12. Don't have time to go back there, but I want to get here to I'll go at verse 15.
Still in 16?
Yes, still in 16. 15. See, I am coming as a thief. So when the demons are let out, then it says, I'm coming. Who's coming? Yahweh's coming. But this is Yeshua speaking. He's coming. Blessed is he who is staying awake and guarding his garments, lest he walk naked and they see his shame. Why stay awake? This is referring back to now, Matthew 25. They all went to sleep.
Yeah, those. The
10 virgins.
10 virgins.
Exactly. But it was the wise who woke up in time to be ready.
Absolutely.
And while they slept again, the Mashiach, while the others were out trying to buy some more oil.
Right. Not prepared.
Exactly. They were not prepared. So verse 16 took place. Verse 16 and 16, Revelation 16 and 16. And they gathered them together to the place called in Hebrew Har Megiddo. And the 7th messenger poured out his bowl into the air, and a loud voice came out of the place of the heavens from the throne, saying, it is finished. Let's jump down to 17 and begin to kind of comb through. Verse 1. And one of the 7 messengers had the 7 bowls, came and spoke to me, saying to me, come, I show you the judgment of the great horse sitting on many
Many
waters.
waters.
So now we see when the judgment takes place. So we see the sixth trumpet, the sixth bowl brings in the seventh trumpet and the seventh bowl. And verse 2, whom the sovereigns of the earth committed whoring, and the inhabitants of the earth were made drunk with the wine of her whoring. So this goes back again to those 10 nations that were gathered together against her, the bride, the whore, and the one who is, who was, and is yet to come. And then we're going to get to that, the eighth one, which is yet to come. We'll get to that, but I want you to know that this is the connection here. And the nations, verse 3, and he carried me away in the spirit into the wilderness, and I saw a woman sitting on a scarlet beast covered with names of blasphemy, having 7 heads and 10 horns. So this is connected to those 10 horns. Now, I must mention Daniel. This is the same thing concerning Daniel, that he talks about the different beasts with 7 heads, 10 horns. Sometimes it's with the bears or the leopards or the different things, speaking of the different animals. And then Daniel speaking to Nebuchadnezzar and saying this is all one dream of the same thing. So we're talking now chapter 2 and chapter 7. These two of Daniel are coincide. And so it coincides with Revelation 17 here as well. So we'll stick we have. I won't go back there. But verse 4, and the woman was dressed in purple, scarlet, and adorned with gold and precious stones and pearls, holding in her hand a golden cup filled with abominations and filthiness of her whoring. You know, as we learn to, really work these with YouTube, this would be a good spot to bring up that image of the Vatican and them all sitting around, and they got on their purple and their scarlet, and they have their golden vases, or the Pope, he has his golden chalice, and so it's right here. It's right here. And so as